Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. And it is indeed a very happy, historic day. And I hope you got the news today about the wrongly detained Americans being released thanks to the Biden administration. And I hope you had a bit of moment of celebration about that, or at least you thought some positive thoughts and thoughts of gratitude, certainly towards those who were responsible for this fundamental historic occasion today. Of course, we're going to discuss that. We're also going to discuss all the new media narrative that is building up against Kamala Harris, which only shows that the Trump campaign is melting and melting not slowly, but pretty fast. And so I want to guide you through every single narrative and what will be popping up in the media so you can stay cautious. I will also then discuss and show one of those emails I got, messages, and what that narrative is like and what the next thing will be, what the thing will be in the media. So you can keep your head on a swivel, literally. And of course, we're going to talk a bit about the international developments, a bit about Venezuela, not that much as we did the previous days. And we're just going to go through it. And a bit of Trump, not as much as yesterday, but, just to paint the picture. Okay. Thank you for joining me. Thank you so much. Always, I'm very appreciative of your opinions, your questions, your comments. So keep commenting, keep asking questions. If something that I say and report on contradicts what you have heard, and if there is factual information and sources provided, I gladly will stay corrected. And if you want to express your opinion with anything I say, whether you like it or not, you deserve the right to do so. So please do it. We're here to, present the facts, present the actual news, and allow you to build your own opinion. Okay? On this note, the biggest news today. So it started at 8 a.m. with the meeting on the background where the NSC, National Security Council, started sharing that we're keeping our fingers and toes crossed that within a few hours, we're going to have a huge historic prisoner swap. We will return those wrongly detained Americans back to American soil, will free them from the Russian regime. And so nobody could talk about it. You started seeing it in the media, and then they start talking about even Gershkovich being released, and then Al-Suu, and then some others started, Paul Whelan. Like the media exploded with a lot of, not facts, let's put it this way. Not BS, but really not facts. And then I shared what I have heard from the White House, and I said, well, let's wait until we have the final statement, because anything that we share on social media, while such sensitive procedures finding place, can be detrimental to the success of this mission. And it was such a huge operation, 24 prisoners involved. All the planes were landing in Turkey on the tarmac at the same time. So the swap can happen at the same time in real life time. So it was so sensitive. And it's such a huge operation. So without any further ado, I want us to start by listening to President Biden, to his entire speech for 7 minutes, because he deserves our attention and he deserves our 7 minutes. And so before I share it, so for you, for context, what we're going to see. So, of course, President Biden is addressing the nation, announcing that Americans have been freed. And so who's joining him are families of those freed detained Americans. And to the president's right is Elizabeth Whelan, the sister of Paul Whelan. And then to Elizabeth's right will be the family of Alsu Kurmasheva, the journalist. That's her husband and two daughters. And then on the other side, you also have family of Evan Gershkovich, his father, mother, sister, and brother-in-law. And then to their left will be Vladimir Kara-Murza. I know he's unfamiliar to you. I'm going to explain who he is and why it matters that he's freed. right after the video. So we're going to go through this so you understand the context behind it as well. So his wife, daughter, and Daniel Kara were present. And so let's also, towards the end, pay attention to something that President Biden did, which only President Biden can do. Also, who's freed now, her daughter. Um, it's her birthday tomorrow, her 13th birthday. And so President Biden made everybody briefly sing happy birthday. And, called her and hugged her, and just a typical Biden moment, which is amazing. Okay, so let's watch this video together. Don't leave. Watch for 7 minutes, and then we go through all the good, bad, and the ugly. Okay, let's do it. Ooh.
Well, good afternoon. And this is a very good afternoon. A very good afternoon. Today we're bringing home Paul, Evan, Alsu, Vladimir. 3 American citizens and 1 American green card holder. All 4 have been imprisoned unjustly in Russia. Paul for nearly 6 years. Vladimir since 2022. Evan since March of 2023. And Alsu since October of 2023. Russian authorities arrested them, convicted them in show trials, and sentenced them to long prison terms with absolutely no legitimate reason whatsoever, none. Paul, a former Marine, was in Russia for a wedding. Evan, a journalist with a Russian in Russia, was in Russia, assigned by the Wall Street Journal. Alsu, also a journalist, was in Russia to see family. All 3 falsely accused of being spies. And Vladimir, who is a Russian citizen by birth and holds an American green card, is a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and was a pallbearer at my friend John McCain's funeral with me. He spoke out against Putin's regime, and for that he was convicted of treason. And now, their brutal ordeal is over, and they're free. Moments ago, the families and I were able to speak to them on the telephone from the Oval Office. They're out of Russia. Earlier today, they were flown to Turkey, and soon they'll be wheels up on their way home to see their families. This is an incredible relief for all the family members gathered here. It's a relief to the friends and colleagues all across the country who've been praying for this day for a long time. The deal that made this possible was a feat of diplomacy and friendship. Friendship. Multiple countries helped get this done. They joined the difficult, complex negotiations at my request. And I personally thank them all again. And I've thanked them personally, and I'll thank them again. All told, Russia has released 16 prisoners. 8 Russians who are being held in the West will be sent home as well. These 16 prisoners from Russia that Russia has released include 4 Americans, 5 Germans, 7 Russian citizens who are political prisoners in their own country. One of those Russians runs a human rights organization, Memorial, which won a Nobel Prize in 2022. Putin threw him in prison for voicing opposition to the war in Ukraine. 4 others work with Alexei Navalny, political opposition leader who died in Russia prison this year. Now they can live safely abroad and continue their work of advocating for democracy if they so choose. This deal would not have been made possible without our allies. Germany, Poland, Slovenia, Norway, and Turkey, they all stepped up, and they stood with us. They stood with us. And they made bold and brave decisions.
Thank you so much for staying with me. I lost you, you lost me, but it's usually happening when I'm streaming on X as well as YouTube. I'm also streaming on YouTube and Facebook. And on X, when I show you a long video, then it starts buffering and we need to restart the whole thing. So, my apologies for that. I hope you caught the beginning of the speech without risking it too much. Let's just review President Biden's statement. So, he said that today, three American citizens and one American green card holder who were unjustly imprisoned in Russia are finally coming home. Paul Whelan, Evan Gershkovich, and Alsu Kurmasheva and Vladimir Karamurza. The deal that secured their freedom was a feat of diplomacy. All told, we've negotiated the release of 16 people from Russia, including 5 Germans and 7 Russian citizens who were political prisoners in their own country. Some of these women and men have been unjustly held for years. All have endured unimaginable suffering and uncertainty. Today, their agony is over. I'm grateful to our allies who stood with us throughout tough, complex negotiations to achieve this outcome, including Germany, Poland, Slovenia, Norway, and Turkey. This is a powerful example of why it is vital to have friends in this world whom you can trust and depend upon. Our alliances made Americans safer. And by the way, if we talk about Germany, German Chancellor Scholz had to take a backseat a little bit because he had to release actual prisoners, murderers to Russia, so all other innocent people could return home. And so when he called Joe Biden, he said, "Joe, I'm just going to do it for you." And so here you see why diplomacy matters and why President Biden's diplomacy matters, while his personal touch and relationship matters, and wisdom, and all those 50 years, you know, 5 decades, right, that he spent in serving the people of the United States, meanwhile building those valuable relationships abroad, which really came to fruition. And so you see here also Evan and Paul holding American flag. That's where they landed in Turkey, and then they were aboard of this plane going back to America. And so tonight at 11:30, both President Biden and Vice President Harris will be meeting them at Air Force Base Andrews and Joint Base Andrews, and they will be speaking, hugging them, welcoming them back to America, and perhaps also addressing the nation. But it's 11:30, so a bit late, and I'm sure they're very much exhausted. Their families are waiting on that historic occasion too. So probably will be shown on television, and I will share any footage that I'm getting from the White House as well. And so we heard, of course, about Paul. We've heard about Evan. We heard about Alsu. But then the green card holder, Vladimir Karamurza. And we think, who is that person and why was he released? And so this gentleman, Sir William Browder, has shared the following today with explanation. I thought to deliver it to you so you know who we're talking about. So Vladimir publicly protested Putin's war. And the aggression against Ukraine and Putin's repressive dictatorship. For that, he was arrested, given the longest sentence of any political prisoner of 25 years, and subjected to torture, denial of medical care, solitary confinement, and other inhumane conditions to try to break his health and his spirit. As you see, he is not traveling with the other three. He is in very, very bad condition health-wise. We are praying, and everybody is really putting their thoughts and prayers together that he survives and that he will be on his journey to recovery. Throughout this entire ordeal, Vladimir has held his head high, his spirit strong, and has never wavered in his conviction that Russia could be a free country. Vladimir's fight has set an extraordinary example for millions of Russians who wish for the Putin regime to fall and for a peaceful and democratic regime in their country. The Putin regime tried to murder Vladimir Karamurza twice with poison in 2015 and 2017. Here's your parallel with Navalny. He suffered greatly during the last 2 years. All of his friends pray for his recovery from this horrific experience. From Russians released, these worked for Navalny in opposition to Putin, but also just those who silently protested the war. So, again, we're praying for his recovery and we're praying for everybody's recovery because it takes a toll on you physically, mentally, psychologically, and we're just in a happy place that they're home. But, you know, President Biden mentioned 8 Russians that were released, and we think, why would 8 Russians be released? Some of them worked for Navalny, and by the way, according to British sources, Navalny should have been released, and it was negotiated for him to be released on the day he died, most likely murdered in the jail, in prison in Russia, which was in February this year. um, Certainly he would have been part of this operation. But then there were some Russians who did not really do anything politically, did not work for the opposition, did not do anything else. And so here's one example. Um, Konstantin Sonin shared on Twitter, I want to thank whoever paid attention in Joe Biden's administration and among those who advised it for inclusion of Alexandra Skochilenko in today's exchange. Some of the Russian political prisoners that we released are opposition leaders of world famous activists. Sasha, this lady, Skochilenko, is nobody, just a woman who was against a criminal war and wanted to do something. So, guess what she did? She wrote anti war slogans on small pieces of paper and posted them in the local grocery store. She spent 2 years in prison, released today with 6 years to go. Those who thought about including her in today's exchange, my gratitude. So, in Russia, literally, there's a person who is in jail for decades for just protesting with a blank piece of white paper, just with white paper, is in prison. That's what regime does. That's what happens when you elect wrong people and allow them to stay. It happens everywhere. Look at Venezuela. Look at Palestine. What happened when they elected Hamas? Look at Russia. Look at North Korea. Look at Turkey. That's what happens. So, now, Secretary Blinken, and that's the video I was adding, hence I was tiny bit late. Sorry for that, and thank you for waiting. He spoke to those, to the 3 who were released and were flying on the way to U.S. So take a listen to Secretary Blinken speaking to the newly released Americans.
Evan, Paul, Alsu. Hey, it's Tony Blinken. We are so happy. We are so happy that you're out and on your way home. I can imagine. Paul, last time we spoke, I told you the next time we spoke, I hoped it would be under very different circumstances, and I am so glad that that's the case today. I think you've already spoken to the president, but he's been determined from day one for each of you to make sure that you got your home. And you, your families, your friends, I know must be ecstatic, and I'm just so pleased for all of you. Yeah. All right, safe journey home.
How nice. This is our Secretary Blinken. Of course, this is an operation that involves so many parts and particles and so many parties that did participate. And so today, Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor to President Biden, joined the press briefing at the White House. And so to explain some certain things and put certain subjects into context. But first, what I want to draw your attention to, as President Biden was finishing his speech, he finished the speech, and then the press pool was shouting. And so he decided to respond to a question from a reporter from Reuters who brought up Trump. Take a look.
Yes, I've spoken to all the leaders about this.
What do you say? How do you feel
And by the way,
about
as a father, look, you heard me say this before. I mean it. My dad had a simple proposition. Family is the beginning, the middle, and the end. Blood of my blood, bone of my bone. I can think of nothing more consequential. I mean that sincerely. And having lost family, not a different way, and not knowing what's happening to their circumstance when they're accidental, with health, it matters. It matters. That's what I think.
And so this was about families, this was about release. And then the media asked the question, was not in this video, but they said, what are you going to tell, the audience, because, or those who are watching, because Donald Trump has tweeted that he would have gotten Evan released, once he's elected, and he would not give anything to anybody. And this would be so fantastic. And so obviously the reporter was referring to this tweet from Trump. Evan Gershkovich, the reporter from the Wall Street Journal, who is being held by Russia, will be released almost immediately after the election, but definitely before I assume office. He will be home safe and with his family. Vladimir Putin, president of Russia, will do that for me, but not for anyone else. And we will be paying nothing. This is same paying nothing as we paid nothing for that wall that turned out to be not a wall. And just understand one thing. This is a person who's trying not to go to jail, so he wants to become a president. Basta. There's no depth here. Now, others who have other ideas, like Project 2025, Silicon Valley boys who want to do what they call Tech City and, all that kind of mess, they're using him as a tool to get into the White House, to start dismantling our institutions and our Constitution and us as a country and democracy. But what this person does, the person who tweets and whose tweet I just read out, is using somebody's life of so many, as you saw today, for personal political agenda. Can we stop talking about him caring about something? Being Christian, not Christian? Can we just knock it out of the park? This tweet, remember it. Vladimir Putin, president of Russia, will do that for me, but not for anyone else. Now, how you like that? What happened today? President Putin will do it for you because of your pee-pee tapes? That's what you think will get the prisoners out? No. The pee-pee tapes will be released, and I don't even think we'll watch it by that time. If you're not winning and the pee-pee tapes are out, we're just going to go, oh, God, I don't want to even see it anymore. This was relevant years ago. You were relevant years ago. Realize it. And yesterday we're so racist, disgusting towards Black women, accomplished reporters at NAJB, National Association of Black Journalists, NABJ, excuse me. You were so pathetic there. There's no way back from this. And I will show you what their reaction is, and how they pivot, and we'll talk about it. But here's RNC research. President Trump has said repeatedly that he could have gotten the hostages out without giving anything in exchange, quoting the reporter. And Biden, why did he do it when he was president? This was the Biden's mic drop moment in the video that, sort of disconnected us. But anyway, that's what the Reuters reporter asked. And Biden said, so why didn't he free them? Well, certainly out of those three, like Evan Gershkovich and Al-Su were prisoned during Biden's presidency. But what about Paul Whelan, the hero? Why didn't you get him out? Why didn't you use your friend Putin to get him out? And other prisoners? What happened to that? Promises, schmoneses. And so Vance, I'm just going through everything because it's like a puzzle, because I want to present everything to you in the right chronology. Vance tweets today, or talks to CNN, we certainly want these Americans to come back home, but we have to ask ourselves, why are they coming home? And I think it's because bad guys all over the world recognize Donald Trump's about to be back in the office, so they're cleaning house. That's a good thing, and I think it's a testament to Donald Trump's strength. Mascara boy, or what is it, eyeliner gentleman. Nobody's recognizing Trump's strength. He is not anywhere near the White House. And certainly some people will make sure that this will be at least very challenging. And it looks like that it's working. What are you talking about strength? What are you talking about? And lo and behold, this tweet makes it into the press briefing of the White House, addressing nobody else but National Security Advisor Sullivan, to talk about the tweet of JD Vance, who is a VP pick for Trump and whatnot. Check it out. 11 seconds. Mic drop moment from Sullivan.
What this demonstrates. I think that really what this shows is that a lot of bad guys across the world are worried that Donald Trump is coming back into office. Your response to those comments?
I don't follow.
I don't follow. I had to raise my leg. It fell asleep. More rants to come. Preach it. I will. I will. Count on it. Just getting angry today. So you see, he's not following. Sullivan is not following Trump's tweets and JD Vance's agenda and tweets. He has things to do. He spoke today to Singapore. He spoke today to world leaders releasing hostages, or wrongly imprisoned Americans. It makes you a little busy. So then, let me see. Video Sullivan on Trump. Jake Sullivan, it only become, So then Jake Sullivan addressed the importance of President Biden, exactly him, handling this entire operation. Take a look.
So I would say that if you had not had Joe Biden sitting in the Oval Office, I don't think this would have happened. But as I said in my remarks, there were a lot of other people who played a central role in building out the pieces of this and then executing on that. And the execution phase of this, to get this level of coordination together, to have those planes all land on the tarmac at the same time from multiple different countries with so many different individuals coming from Russia and going back to Russia, really extraordinary.
And then the media asked, what do you mean? What do you mean only Biden could do it? He's a vegetable, we pushed him aside together with elites and some Democrats. So Sullivan went into depth as to what Biden did, and it takes a village, or I've actually never seen National Security Advisor tearing up. And this is the moment where we got him, when he started talking about those long talks he had with the families whose loved ones were detained in Russia with no future and in such a bad shape, if we talk about Vladimir. So he started tearing up that he finally could share some positive news. This video is about 2 minutes. So let's take a look.
The president was himself personally engaged in the diplomacy that brought this about, including multiple conversations with Chancellor Scholz, with the other leaders of the countries who provided some of the Russians as part of the exchange, and most recently, as has now been reported, calling the Prime Minister of Slovenia early in the afternoon of Sunday, July 21st, to coordinate the final arrangements, to make the final piece of this deal fall into place. There is no more singular or concrete demonstration that the alliances that the president has reinvigorated around the world matter to Americans, to the individual safety of Americans, and to the collective security of Americans. And we're deeply grateful to our allies who supported us in these complex negotiations to achieve this outcome. And while I'm standing at this podium, the president is reaching out to give personal thanks to the leaders of Germany, Poland, Slovenia, Norway, and Turkey. And honestly, guys, I can just say this was vintage Joe Biden, rallying American allies to save American citizens and Russian freedom fighters, and doing it with intricate statecraft, pulling his whole team together to drive this across the finish line. His goal has always been to put the families first, the families who are enduring an unimaginable ordeal. From the president on down, we've stayed in regular and routine touch with them. I spent a lot of time with the families of Evan and Paul and Alsu. And most of the time, as you can imagine, those are tough conversations. But not today. Today, excuse me. Today was a very good day. And we're going to build on it, drawing inspiration and continued courage from it for all of those who are held hostage or wrongfully detained around the world.
We got Jake Sullivan to tear up. And it is a very emotional moment. And it just goes to explain why would somebody ask, like there are, questions in the media that I didn't cut out to show you, where they said, but did you know this operation was going on, a week ago or 3 days ago? It was like, yes. In fact, President Biden held conversations with Slovenia, negotiating this deal an hour before he announced that he's stepping out of the race on July 21st. How dare you not informing us? Do you understand how sensitive this operation is? And stop, harassing me that I'm not a reporter enough to not question enough. I have understanding enough that negotiating with a Russian terrorist Nazi regime and include a bunch of countries that are okay, thanks to Joe Biden negotiation skills and VP that is heavily participating, who's a core member of this team that made this happen, that this is sensitive. I don't understand how you don't get that. Why do you need your clickbait headline so much that you're willing to sacrifice people's lives so you get a headline? How much does your headline cost? Is that included in your contract? The clickbait numbers? Do you have to report it every night? Is that what journalism came down to? Yes, down to. Yikes. Just imagine Barbara Walters doing this, just like Oprah. Imagine Oprah doing this. It's not a political reporter. Anyway, so Sullivan was asked to comment on VP's involvement. Like, was she checking out? Was she actually participating? Yes, she was. Hint. Now, listen to what he said to that question.
That the vice president had, was she also speaking directly to other leaders and allies?
So, as I said in my opening comments, both President Biden and Vice President Harris have made the return of unjustly detained American hostages an absolute priority. And in this particular case, Vice President Harris actually had an opportunity to engage with Chancellor Scholz earlier this year at an opportune and timely moment at the Munich Security Conference, where she talked about this issue with him. That followed on a conversation that the president had just a short time before that, and it was in the run of high-level engagements and a back and forth that the president and the chancellor were having that Vice President Harris was actually able to sit face-to-face with Chancellor Scholz and talk through the elements of this. And then I've sat in the Oval Office more times than I can count over the course of the past years, providing briefings and updates on this and getting peppered with questions by both the president and the vice president, thinking through the strategy, iterating the approach, which she was a participant in very much, a core member of the team that helped make this happen.
And to your comment, it's amazing that he was in negotiation for this historic release, knowing that he was about to announce to the nation that he was exiting the race. You know how much is going on? Absolutely, Jason. Even thank you so much. And thank you for watching and commenting constantly. I appreciate you. There's so much going on the same day, within the same minute, within the White House. If you need any, just an insight, watch Designated Survivor, something like that. It's so much going on the same day on professional, personal front. And then put, yes, negotiating, yes, exiting a race. Now add Hunter Biden's story and his trial. And them going to D-Day, and First Lady had to go back and forth, from Paris to Hunter's trial and testify and sit there. Just, if we put that all into the mix, and then add the media that said, are you going to die? Are you going to die? Are you going to step out? Are you going to die? You're going to die? You're going to die? Yeah. So Jake Sullivan also confirmed that there was no direct engagement with Putin. He said there was no need for it. Also, President Biden, at the end of that speech that I couldn't show you, also confirmed that there was no need to talk to Putin. Sensitive channels were used, and these need to be protected. Hence, Sullivan was not elaborating further on that. This also has nothing together with the war in Ukraine. It's not connected to that either. This was also asked by another reporter. Now, then Karine Jean-Pierre continued the press briefing per usual. And the press started hitting on, um, taking a hit on Kamala Harris. So take a look.
Joe Biden was in the Oval Office, I don't think this would have happened. Was that a swipe at her relative inexperience or some sort of...
Oh, I see what you're saying. They're partners in this. Joe Biden and the vice president are partners in this. You heard him say that the vice president played a critical role in this diplomacy at a number of key moments. She met with the chancellor of Germany in Munich to help pave the way. She also met with the prime minister of Slovenia to help bring them into the negotiations. They were partners in this.
And if you think this Fox News reporter was mean, think about New York Times, who started questioning whether Kamala Harris can be seen as a partner.
And see her as and treat her as a partner in a subject where he clearly has, a lot more experience.
I'm not denying that Jake said that. Obviously, I'm
reveal some of his thinking about how he's got to balance this.
I think you have to look at this in separate pieces, right? The president has been president for some time. I used to say this all the time: with age comes experience, right? And I think that's important to note. And he's had relationships with many of these leaders that are currently, out there in this present time, in present day. What I also want to state is that the vice president has been vice president for 3.5 years. She has been part of this administration, obviously, not just part of it, but a partner.
Can we put some respect on her name? And to your comment, thank you for your comments. I appreciate you. What Sullivan meant is actually that we relied on Joe Biden's wisdom and diplomacy and connections. Because if you work in government for decades, multiple decades, you grow your base where you get connected to several leaders, former leaders, current leaders. That's why sometimes in negotiations, you even see former presidents stepping in and playing a role, because they also have their connections with the leaders and government. So for that reason, it was important. And that's what he meant. If it wasn't for him, just imagine Trump, even though he tweets and all that, imagine him negotiating. That would be my way or highway. And that is not the way you negotiate in those intricate matters where people's lives are on the line. This is not where you want to have somebody like that. So let's talk about VP. So she today was in Houston. She traveled there yesterday, spoke at the event. And then today she continued to stay in Houston and spoke at the memorial for Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. So she delivered the eulogy. And so what press pool has reported on is that the church was packed. There were several prominent officials and others on stage, including House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, Bill and Hillary Clinton, and Jesse Jackson. So let's take a look how Kamala Harris was greeted by the Clintons. It's just 7 seconds. Trump negotiating with Russia would be Putin's way or the highway, and Trump would thank him for it. Exactly. But then he would call Germany and say, my way, highway, and then, report to Putin. And again, we're laughing about PP tapes. We're laughing about anything, but all those roads lead to Moscow, not Rome, Moscow, where they're holding him by anything and any body parts that they can. And so hence, there's no negotiation. There's yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. Type of talking. But to your point, you're right. I agree. And so the VP has delivered a speech, and here's a little part of it that I wanted to share, because I'm all about personal relationships and connections, and just adding the personal touch to elected officials, if you will. So she said, quote, to know Sheila is to know how she could be tough. But oh my goodness, she was so loving and so encouraging. And she always encouraged me. And so I called to thank her for that. I called to thank her for the impact she has had on so many people. I know all of us, and in particular, all of us who have worked with her in Washington, have stories to tell. She was a force, but she never allowed anything to be mediocre. She always expected in all of us that we would rise to a point of excellence, knowing life was too short and there is too much to be done. At that point was standing ovation. And so I expressed to her my personal gratitude for her long-standing friendship and inspiration. And I thanked her for her courage and her conviction and her relentless focus on those who are um, too often left out and left behind, and her unwavering belief in the power that we each have to change our country for the better. Relentless, 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 right? Sometimes too many languages. This is not my thing, but I'm learning. So um, now I want us to focus on a speech, it's 1.5 minutes, by Hillary Clinton. Here's a part of her speech at the memorial, and how she, I think, masterfully connected the topic of Kamala Harris and her possibility to become the first female president, with still the ability to pay homage and pay respect to the Congresswoman. Let's take a look.
We could use her voice now. But come next January, when our first woman president takes the oath of office, I'll be thinking of Sheila, wondering what up in heaven she's wearing, what magnificent long scarf she has wrapped around herself, what hairdo she has managed to achieve for this special occasion. I'll be thinking of her and Shirley Chisholm and Barbara Jordan and all the generations of women who helped to make that day possible because they never stopped believing. You know, Sojourner Truth said, if the first woman God ever made was strong enough to turn the world upside down all alone, these women together ought to be able to turn it back and get it right side up again.
If anything, that is what passing the torch looks like. And so, in other news, after the memorial in Houston, VP also has spoken to the wife of the late Navalny. And so she spoke to the widow, Yulia Navalny, following the release of the 16 individuals from Russia, including 3 American citizens, 1 American green card holder, as I mentioned, as well as German citizens and 7 Russian citizens. So the vice president welcomed the release of these individuals and reaffirmed that she will continue to stand with those fighting for freedom in Russia and around the world. The vice president commended Navalny for her courage and continuing her husband's work for justice and the rule of law in Russia. The vice president previously met Navalny in February 2024 at the Munich Security Conference, just hours after the terrible news broke of Navalny's death in a Russian prison. And I know there are Ukrainians that hate it that I'm mentioning Navalny. And here's why. Navalny has always advocated for Crimea to be Russian. He always said Crimea is Russian and the rest is whatnot. So he was against the invasion, against the war, but he yet claimed that Crimea is historically Russian, which is historically incorrect. We can dive in it. If you're interested, I'll prepare a whole piece and guide you through the history and how Ukrainian, specifically Kiev, was before Ukraine, Russia, or specifically Moscow was even planned. So for that reason, Ukrainians have a love-hate relationship with Navalny. But I'm mentioning it because he is a hero for Russia. Yes, he decided to return. He could have lived, still lived happily in after surviving poisoning in Germany. He could have lived there, but he wanted to beat the regime, and then this happened. But certainly his death and his fight are the base of everything that happened today, because people who work for him and with him have been released, as well as others. And so Putin did get the message too. And I will not show you the celebrations of those murderers that were released from Germany, how they were received in Russia with champagne, with flowers and fireworks, and they're heroes. I'll not show it to you, not to spread this stupid information, but it is a fact. It does happen. So, also Harris' campaign, on another note, today something happened in the Senate. They released a statement, and I wanted to read it out to you. It's connected to J.D. Vance, who, while not voting in support of the expanding the child tax credit in D.C. today, told Notice, which is a nonprofit journalistic website, pretty much, that repealing the Affordable Care Act would still be a priority for Donald Trump. Trump and Vance's healthcare vendetta would destroy the healthcare system and devastate tens of millions of Americans and their loved ones. And so, since you were hearing the news of the Senate, I want to put some facts to it and factual information as to what really the plan is of the Trump Vance ticket. So they would say, in their plans would be more than 100 million Americans with pre-existing conditions could be denied coverage or charged more. 45 million people's health insurance coverage would be put at risk. Healthcare costs would increase for many Americans, and children up to age 26 could no longer stay on their parents' healthcare plan. And so here is the Harris for President spokesperson, James Singer, who issued the following statement. Donald Trump, and I quote, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are the greatest threat to Americans' health care today. Terminating the Affordable Care Act has been Trump's goal for years, which will make America sicker, rip away pre-existing condition protections from more than 100 million Americans, and increase healthcare costs. Vice President Harris will defend Americans' healthcare, their rights, and their freedom. The stakes this November could not be higher for the American people. And so let's continue on the J.D. Vance topic, shall we? Today also came out that J.D. Vance wrote a foreword for, let me pull it up. Here we go. So J.D. Vance wrote a welcoming piece for a forthcoming book by the principal architect of Project 2025. So there, for Dawn's Early Light, previously titled Burning Down Washington to Save America, a new book authored by the Heritage Foundation's president, Kevin Roberts, that calls for a second American Revolution. That's where J.D. Vance, he endorsed the book and wrote the foreword. So as much as they're trying to distance themselves from Project 2025, it becomes impossible, right? This Plan 47 or whatever they had, Agenda 47, is a copy-paste of Project 2025. So let's not get this twisted. Just wanted to mention that. Also, as you have heard Jake Sullivan say, after the announcement in the afternoon, President Biden spoke to leaders, thanking them for successful operations. So President Biden spoke to Prime Minister Netanyahu. Wrong. This afternoon, President spoke individually with Turkish President Erdogan, Norwegian Prime Minister Stor, Polish President Duda, Slovenian Prime Minister Golob, and German Chancellor Scholz to thank them for their partnership on today's historic deal that brought home Americans and others detained in Russia. The president expressed his appreciation for their support during the complex negotiations and active engagement throughout the process to achieve the monumental release. And now to Netanyahu. So, as you know, there's a lot happening on the northern border of Israel, where Israel has conducted strikes as a response to the right? The Hezbollah striking Israel and killing 12 kids who were just playing soccer. And so then the Hamas leader was killed in Iran, in Tehran, while attending the inauguration of the Iranian leader. And so as a response, there's a lot of negotiations happening. The U.S. is still trying to reach peace in a diplomatic way and find diplomatic solutions using the peace plan that President Biden has put forward and that Hamas agreed to. But that leader who was killed was actually the key negotiation partner who would have signed that peace deal. So at this point, negotiations are turbulent, put it this way. But yet again, US and National Security Council at the White House still believe that diplomatic solution is possible. And so President spoke to Netanyahu today, reaffirming his commitment to Israel's security against all threats from Iran, including proxy terrorist groups Hamas, Hezbollah, and Houthis. The president discussed efforts to support Israel's defense against threats, including against ballistic missiles and drones, to include new defensive U.S. military deployments. That's a new. Together with the commitment to Israel's defense, the president stressed the importance of ongoing efforts to de-escalate broader tensions in the region. Vice President Harris also attended the call. Other news related to President Biden. He posted today on social media that you ought to be able to sit next to your child on a flight without paying more. So today, Biden administration is proposing a ban on airlines charging those fees and any other fees where, you pick a ticket and once you have to pay, it's like double. It will save a family of four as much as $200 per round trip and get us one step closer to ending all junk fees for good. So he's putting the proposal, again, it will be up to vote. But then, back to the White House press briefing, which gives me, anxiety, to say the least. Well, the reporters have asked, but wait a second. President Biden's a lame duck, isn't he? Take a look.
When the president announced 2 Sundays ago that he's withdrawing from the race, that he's not running for another term, there were some that described him as a lame duck president. How does this news today, this joyous news at the White House, answer those critics describing President Biden in that fashion?
Well, I'm glad you call it joyous news, because it is. This is very, very good news. For all of us as Americans, we should be very proud of this moment. Look, I've heard the term lame duck. I was asked at the podium if he is a lame duck president. We've been very clear that he's not, and today is an example of that.
Mr. Rude, exactly. A lame duck? You know who's lame here, honey? Whoever you are, you. This is a historic announcement, historic day, where a president, the best president, at least in my lifetime, has achieved the unthinkable, who also listened to you naysayers, pass the torch and whatever. He is not doing it for his election or re-election. He's not doing it to get a cookie. He's doing it for the people because he promised to do this. He's doing it for kids, if you think about, jump fees and all that kind of stuff, what I just read out. He's doing it for the world peace when we talk about Israel. He's thanking world leaders for the successful historic operation. And you dare, in this meeting, just because you had it written on your laptop, to ask if he's a lame duck? I hope you're deaf. I really hope it. Because that's the best, diagnosis I can come up with for you. And just for you to realize, this is not a reporter coming in and like, quack, quack, lame duck. Let me ask that. No, he went to his editor, and his editor has approved those questions. And they will be writing an article, and they already probably did, and put a whole report about Biden being a lame duck, and then White House is denying that he's a lame duck. Realize that there's a process behind this nonsense. It's not coming up out of blue. I physically always try to put myself in somebody's shoes to see what, just everything from other perspective, because maybe I'm wrong, I cannot physically do this. I don't know what angle that requires. Maybe upside down, turn around, flip it, reverse it. I don't know. Freaking embarrassing. Seriously. Just freaking embarrassing. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you so much, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. I do it 24/7, which just takes a toll on my family, but I do this. I really think that we have to, and I will guide you now through the new shit show that's coming for Kamala Harris. Stay, keep your head on a swivel. We're just starting with this. I'm just starting getting there to start screaming on it. Okay, another story. A new reporting in Rolling Stone. Let me pull this up for you. Okay, so new reporting in Rolling Stone reveals exactly how far Trump, Vance, and their Project 2025 agenda would go to invade women and their families' most personal, private healthcare decisions. It outlines Trump and Vance's support of states monitoring pregnant women by using their personal health data to track and potentially punish women who travel to other states for abortion care. This aligns with their Project 2025, which calls for federal agencies to expand, quote, abortion surveillance and use every available tool, including the cutting of funds, to ensure that every state reports exactly how many abortions take place within its borders, at what gestational age of the child, for what reason, the mother's state of residence, and by what method. Interesting fact, too. Thank you for commenting this, Dean Gloucester. Buried on page 455 of Trump's Project 2025 is the grim note that HHS will require every state to list every miscarriage by any pregnant woman undergoing chemotherapy after birth control and IVF and no fault divorce. They're coming for cancer treatment for pregnant women. If you were asking how low can you go, this low. So the following is a statement from Harris for President spokesperson Sarafina Chitika. Quote, the most personal decisions a woman can make are about her own body. Preach. Yet Donald Trump and J.D. Vance think the government and law enforcement should be involved. And mind you, now Trump also gives wants to give the federal immunity to law enforcement. So their Project 2025 plans would force states to monitor pregnant women, including private information if they miscarry or have an abortion, and report them to Trump's administration. They want to use every arm of the federal government to rip away reproductive freedom, including banning abortion in all 50 states, restricting access to contraception, and jailing doctors for mailing medication abortion. Trump and Vance have shown they will not stop, or they will stop at nothing to strip women of their basic freedoms and dignity. But with Vice President Harris' leadership, we will stop them this November. It's not just alarming and disgusting and all that. This is evil. This is, like, what's that? The fourth Handmaid's Tale? What, 3 seasons? That's like the next season of Handmaid's Tale. You want to see it? Vote them in, and then you get to participate in this show. They're also thinking about increasing tax for women who don't have children because we don't benefit to the society. Your only benefit is birthing people as a woman. And J.D. Vance will even steal the eyeliner from us. Will also become part of the male attribute. We need to get you red shoes. Withered. We need to get you a pair of red shoes like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. You open the curtain behind the fake wizard. Yes, I'm about to open it further. And I will explain to you why I'm banned on Facebook, which is like such an obnoxious thing. But anyway, let's continue. Thank you. Thank you for your comment. I appreciate you. So now we arrive to my least favorite segment, the attacks on Kamala Harris. And I want you to pay attention. This is not for your entertainment. This is for you to become conscious about the information you consume. Because the information you will be consuming, once she has picked a VP, once she's official candidate, starting August 7th, will be insane. Also, if she wins, this will continue. This will snowball. This will not end. And this will be continuing in the White House press briefings. It will. So let's go through this, shall we? So Trump is digging his hole more, right? So yesterday he started talking about Kamala Harris being Indian or being black. He doesn't understand biracial. He does not understand this whole point. He does not understand how a person can actually appreciate the mother and father and the cultures they bring to the family. How you can inclusivity. He doesn't know what that means. Appreciation, dignity, love. Does not understand it. So by digging his own grave there, he's posting more stuff like this. Crazy Kamala is saying she's Indian, not black. This is a big deal. Stone cold phony. She uses everybody, including her racial identity. Now, I have a question. With you being that orange, who are you? A Martian? What is your identity? Who you identify as? Or you have like a liver disease? Can we see this medical report? Because you're very orange. Very orange. I don't even know, listen, I know self-tan and stuff. I don't know where you get that shade. I really don't. Just like in a comic store. What is this? What the heck is this? Yeah, I'll show you why I gotta be. It's stupid. Anyway, so then he continues to dig deeper. Here he goes. Thank you, Kamala, for the nice picture you sent from many years ago. Your warmth, friendship, and love of your Indian heritage are very much appreciated. He does not see the picture. He does not see that she just loves her family, who is Indian, who is, from the Indian descent. And while she can embrace being a black woman and standing for her culture and being biracial and embracing both cultures, he doesn't understand the point. But this will continue. And I'll show you the clips. They're going to go about Indian versus black because what they want to do is try to divide you. This is not done for the white people like me, the blank ones, like this wall. This is done for suddenly the African American population to be against her, that she's not ours, she's not this. And then Indian public just saying, no, she's not ours, she's lying, she's sort of, is ashamed of her heritage, which is complete BS. She's embracing both cultures, and she has always identified as a black woman. She went to historic black college. So remember I mentioned to you some no, actually, before that, let's talk. Let's see a video of this Alina Habba, the lawyer, Trump's lawyer, whatever, who then also started attacking Kamala Harris. Take a look.
So excited because when I spoke at the RNC, I didn't know she was the one we were going after, but now I do. And I'm going to speak to you, Miss Harris. A strong woman, a mom, a lawyer, and an American. And unlike you, Kamala, I know who my roots are. I know where I come from. And I don't play around with the Constitution.
Alina Habba, it's Wikipedia for you, and her two siblings were born in Summit, New Jersey. Their parents were Arab Catholics who emigrated from Iraq to the United States in early 1980s to escape persecution in their home country. So they're immigrants seeking asylum from Iraq. You're an American woman? Anyway, Also, where's your talk about policies and the first 100 days agenda and all of that? Why are you even addressing Kamala Harris? Who are you? Who is you? What is it? How you dare addressing Kamala Harris? Were you paid for your services? I doubt it. I think it was presented to you as a privilege to serve President Trump and sit to him while he was sleeping and farting himself during the court trial. Just saying. And so let's continue on this hatred. So yesterday, if you didn't pay attention to it, good for you. You didn't throw up in your mouth. But this stuff starts circulating. They start saying that the copy of Kamala Harris' birth certificate proves that she's not black. See Kamala Harris' birth certificate below, which I have obtained. And so this is making rounds saying that she's not black, that she is Indian. And I talked to you about the emails that I got today, several emails with the same message that came from different accounts, which were anonymous or made up names. I'm doing my research to see who is behind it. Once I know who, I know it's domestic, it's not international, but it was like emails from France and like Israel, but all about like different phrases, but all about this goddamn birth certificate. And here's one of those messages. So thank you for your videos. Have you made any videos about birth certificate topic? That's pretty hair raising. Time to move that topic forth. And so the main message was, let's move the topic of birth certificate. Birth certificate. She's Indian. She lied. She is not black. Bunch of those emails. That's what I woke up to. Once I know who's behind it, I'll certainly will out those people and tell you who that is. But currently it's all fake, made up names, because on Onest Network, you can submit a message and you put your contact data, but you can certainly made it up. It doesn't send you an email where you get a code on your phone or whatever, because it's just comments. But all of those are about that goddamn birth certificate, which is fabricated. It's not true. She is biracial. She always identified as a black woman. She's a proud black, of being a black woman. And she stands for further, men and women of her heritage. So this is being pushed. If you don't believe me, check this out. Harris faces a pivotal moment as Trump questions her identity. The first black and Asian woman to be a major party presidential nominee confronts her opponent's comment that she became a black person. And if you think, who is that? This is Washington Post. This is not Fox News. This is not Newsmax. This is Washington Post. And this birth certificate issues will pop up. And I promise you, they will be the topic in the press briefings and newspapers. So this guy, let's just get it straight. This guy goes to a National Association of Black Journalists, insults people, lies, gaslights, behaves in a disgusting manner, accuses the current vice president, former attorney general, who's accomplished, smart woman, of her lying about her being black or whatnot. He just brought this up. We never heard about it before. It was planted right at that NABJ conference or convention. That's why he was there. And if this is what Washington Post sees as the main message from that disgusting performance yesterday, as Harris now faces a pivotal moment, not Trump faces a pivotal moment that he is racist. Honestly, I had hopes that he just simply doesn't care about people, but he's actually racist. And now it's on Harris to prove her identity, not on him. It's on her. That is the narrative. Good evening, just dropping. Oh, thank you so much. Well, I'm ranting. I'm sorry. But thank you for dropping. I'm sorry for, not a happy moment that you're just saying. Desperation, is that a song? Yep. Murdoch owns both Post and Fox News. Yes, but also others. You'll see it. You'll see it from New York Times. You'll see it everywhere. It's being very much pushed. I will see who's behind the emails, but it's the narrative that the journalists are now, let's put forth the birth certificate. That is I allowed them once I know exactly who that is. And so JD Vance picked on the narrative at the rally and started questioning if the accent that Kamala Harris has is suddenly fake. Take a look.
This week, look up the clip. She went down to Georgia, and started talking with a fake Southern accent. I'm serious. Now, what the hell was that all about? Kamala Harris grew up in Canada. They don't talk like that in Vancouver or Quebec or wherever she came from.
And now the potential press speaker for Trump, if he's elected, Laura Loomer, if Kamala Harris makes it to the White House, Ebonics, I had to Google it. I understand what it means now. Will replace English as the language of our land. Disgusting. Disgusting. But that is the narrative. She's not, black. She's Indian. Now she's making up accent to be black. Now she's going to bring the, whatever you call that, pretty much insulting black culture, insulting African-American people, and insulting the White House. And I'm not even mentioning insulting Kamala Harris, because all of it is just despicable. So that's the narrative. And JD Vance, he tweeted that Trump's performance was good. And actually, he brought some good points, right? And you would think the media would say, no, hell to the no. Like, how can you even say that? This is disgusting. But you can always count on CNN's Jake Tapper to surprise us. Watch.
Senator J.D. Vance, Donald Trump's running mate, has issued. But this seems a better response from where I sit. He said, President Trump walked right into the NABJ, the National Association of Black Journalists Conference, and showed you the courage to take tough questions, while Kamala Harris continues to hide from any scrutiny or unfriendly media like the coward she is. I don't know about the coward part of that, but the idea that, look, Donald Trump went into the lion's den and took questions from journalists, and Vice President Harris has been the presumptive nominee now for 9 or 10 days, and she hasn't done an interview or taken questions. That seems fair game.
That seems fair game. She never gave an interview. It took questions. Literally yesterday, literally today on the tarmac, literally meeting the Americans that are freed at 11:30 p.m. in 2 hours at JBA. Jake, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Now, this continues. The Tennessean or whatever, Representative Andy Ogles files articles of impeachment against VP Kamala Harris. They filed articles of impeachment against President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris last year as well. They failed. Now, this time, they're leading an effort with other conservative Republicans and criticizing Vice President Kamala Harris in the wake of President Joe Biden's withdrawal from the presidential race, which they demanded. Ogles announced Tuesday a second impeachment resolution against Harris, according to Politico story that is, by the way, published by the former editor of Forbes Russia. That's Politico. In a Tuesday announcement, first reported by Fox News, Ogles is also urging Harris to invoke the 25th Amendment amid concerns over Biden's health. The 25th Amendment allows for the permanent or temporary removal of the president if they're unable to fulfill the duties of the office. And I told you that. And I got blocked by 200 people. I told you that. When the talk starts about the 25th Amendment and Biden stepping down, so Harris will finish this term as president. First of all, it will count as a term. Second, she will be appointing her VP, which has to be approved by the Senate, the Congress, both chambers, which will be turbulent, which will delay stuff, which will only be in the interest of Megaville. So don't get it twisted. Never get into this notion that she can step in and finish as a president. This is manipulation. So for now, we have the race being questioned, the birth certificate being questioned now, the 25th Amendment, impeachment trials, fake accent, her growing up in Canada, her failing the first law exam, and all of that is coming up now, even though she has been the VP, very accomplished VP, for 3.5 years. So stay cautious about the information you consume. This is not good for your health. Not good for your health. The narrative is nothing. They have nothing on Kamala. Absolutely. Yeah. What are you talking about? Yep. Exactly. I swear that people in modern day miracle makers, first DT grows back his exactly. Then Kamala turns black. As a nurse, I'm dying to hear what's next. Exactly. Exactly. I don't want to hear what's next, but I can. So my point is, and I think it is my job to inform you what is, because they're planting a lot of things and then see what picks up, you know. And I'm testing other platforms like TikTok is all Magaville. I'm just attracting Magaville. YouTube, all Magaville. You know, Facebook, all Magaville. Like it's just interesting that we've met here, and I'm very happy about it. So let's continue. But now to your response, or what you said that they have nothing on her. This is Pete Buttigieg. Remember that all of this is a strategy. The politics of outrage, and insult are the last refuge of a politician who cannot defend his own plans. And hence, if you subscribe for newsletter, it's free. You're gonna get it today. That's why I'm calling it Trump's campaign is melting. It's a meltdown. That's what it is. But you need to be informed as to what to avoid, because this will come from the New York Times, not just typical Murdoch publications and outlets, but also from those that you least expect it from. So in other, good news, we are awaiting the Taylor Swift's endorsement, but she kind of started on her TikTok. She said, she changed her bio to this is pretty much just a cat account. Knowing her, she's planting those Easter eggs, and this was right in response to JD Vance's tweet. So, Cat Ladies United. And good news, actual good news, is that Trump's gag order, right? He petitioned to get it removed. It was denied today. This is connected to the 34 felonies that he was found guilty for in New York by the jury, and now the gag order is denied, so he cannot start, spewing hate, like spreading hate about the judges and the jury as well. And by the way, being from New York, it was so pathetically scary for those who were chosen to be jury and they had to step out because he started exposing them. One lady was a nurse. She had to cancel the next day because she became like threatened in the hospital she worked for. So this was a real thing that, kind of stressed New Yorkers who are not really known for being stressed or getting stressed easily. A bit about Venezuela in a weird way. So Maduro send a message to Musk. You want to fight? Let's have it, Elon Musk. I'm ready. I'm not afraid of you. Let's go at it wherever you want. He also said that Musk wants to invade him with his rockets and missiles. And Musk said, I accept. He will chicken out. In 2024, it's just getting crazier. So I don't know what the deal is there. Like, honestly, I'm just lost for words. I guess Musk is fighting Maduro in Venezuela. Taylor should hold off till the DNC, keep the momentum going a little later now. You know what I'm thinking? Maybe she will grant her, like Beyonce gave Kamala Harris her song Freedom. I think she might grant her song or something to Kamala Harris and hence have the endorsement. Not sure. Also, what might prohibit her is the NFL. Very Republican, if you know any owners, Megaville. So we'll see. Let's hope. She's a strong lady. She's wise. She's smart. Very influential. So let's see. Now, in terms of Venezuela, G7 foreign ministers of Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, United Kingdom, and United States of America, and the high representatives of the EU expressed solidarity with the people of Venezuela, who peacefully exercised their right to vote in large numbers on July 28 to shape the future of their country. Independent, domestic, and international observers' reports have raised serious concerns about the announced results of Venezuela's presidential elections and about the way the electoral process was conducted, especially regarding the irregularities and lack of transparency in the final tabulation of the votes. It is of paramount importance that the result reflects the will of the Venezuelan people. We call on relevant representatives to publish the detailed electoral results in full transparency, and we ask representatives to immediately share all information with the opposition and independent observers. As the process unfolds, we call for maximum restraint in the country and for a peaceful, democratic, Venezuelan-led solution. All is good. Now, my question is, what are you going to do if they don't? Because it's been days. July 28th passed. We're already now in August 1st. And he declared himself a winner. So are there going to be penalties? Are there going to be sanctions? What is going to happen next? Because I think asking for results now, 1, 2, 3, 4 days in, it's going to happen because people are protesting. Russia's Wagner is beating them down. People got killed. Hundreds of people got put in prison for no reason, for peacefully protesting. I showed you a video a few days ago how even people were returning goods to the stores if something was stolen, looted. What's next? That is my question, Okay, now to the weird things, and we finish it up with that. You were asking about Facebook. So I shared, when MAGA thing was spreading the news, misinformation, that Kamala Harris has no foreign policy experience. And then I shared a video of Secretary Blinken saying that it's completely not true. She has been in every meeting. She has traveled. She has spoken to all the leaders. She's very well respected. She's endorsed by President Biden. And he is not allowed to endorse her as a candidate, of course, but he expressed his gratitude for her work. So I posted this video on Facebook, not thinking much about it. And then I'm getting this. And see, as a reason, you see here on the top, it's clearly Blinken. So they said you shared a video on July 23rd, and independent fact checkers, who turned out to be USA Today as independent fact checkers, they realized that this footage is of RFK Jr. press conference that has been deceptively edited. Can you freaking imagine that? This is a Blinken video. It's insane. Like, they took a Blinken video and said I fabricated RFK Jr. on the video. And there's no way to appeal it. There's no way to do anything. So now only those who are my friends can see what I post, but nobody who is not my friend. Also, stay, let me know if you see this. I know many of you said you don't see the sensitive label on my content on X. Turns out it is, if you are following me, you won't see it because you're already committed to following. But if you don't, allegedly this will pop up. Not sure, really surprised to see this. I post facts. Literally, I don't put any, sometimes I joke if I post like some crazy posts like Fox News or whatever, but all of it is facts or what has been shown on television. So I'm not sure what that is all about. But again, let's stay connected and, let me know if this happens and I'll reach out. So now the last thing what I want to share, perhaps you have missed. So President Biden will be speaking and addressing the nation on the first night of the Democratic National Convention on August 19th. Has been confirmed. So what I'm inviting you to is to join me and fellow like-minded people in a private virtual watch party to watch his address, and also meet an hour before, and I'll let you know about the times once I know when the speech is exactly from the DNC, once it's confirmed, for us to meet and have a warm-up, to have tributes, to share stories, to see, express gratitude and really honor and celebrate President Biden, because I think he deserves that. It's not a fundraising event. There's no money involved. It's produced by me. And so I put together, if you're watching on X, this is a comment, the first comment, right underneath the video. I would love for you to RSVP, the more the merrier. I will also share the details and the final video with the White House, making sure that it goes to the president. And if you wish, you can also record a short, a 30-second tribute for us to feature. You can upload it right in that form when you click on the link. So we can share it and stream it for all of us to see. If you have any story, you have any want to express gratitude, and again, all of this will be forwarded to the White House, and this will be private party, and the more the merrier. So I will then address administration representatives. Maybe they can send us a video or join us. So let's just have this celebration for the great president, because as you saw today, it's he has historic achievements and character and dignity, and deserves to be celebrated, because the way everything played out, it's certainly not right. So love and gratitude and honor certainly is appreciated. So this is the comment right underneath this live stream on X. If you are subscribed to the emails, which I hope you are, it's free, onest.substack.com. You get your news in your mailbox by the end of the day. Yesterday night was very late because I had to work. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, Onest Network on YouTube, in case I get knocked out of X and Facebook and all that kind of stuff. So we can stay in communication. So please fill the form, please RSVP. If you need to take time with the video, you can edit your form at a later time, RSVP as soon as you can. The bigger the number, the more I will get the guests and the tributes, and for them to join us. You can edit the form and add the video by Friday. So the speech is on Monday. So by the end of the day, by midnight on Friday, which is this 19, 18, 17, 16. So August 16th by midnight, end of the day, if you can submit your video, that's the latest. You still have 17 days to do so. So on this note, thank you so much for joining me. Totally down for a watch party. Thank you. Yay, let's do it. Taylor, yes, I already read that. Awesome idea. Thank you, JT. Thank you. I know you're watching on YouTube. Thank you. And thank you for fighting the MAGA bill. YouTube is unknown territory. So thank you again. I will share more news, factual news tomorrow, maybe a bit earlier than 8 p.m. because I have a celebration I have to attend. So, but again, all the actual news are coming in tomorrow. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Skyman Follies. Thank you. Have a great night. Oh, Skyman's Follies. Yes, you joined our meeting, our town hall. Thank you. I appreciate you. Okay, done for now. See you tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Bye, guys.